Disability Rights Advocacy Day, March 6, 2025.
Well, welcome to the third Annual Disability Rights Advocacy Day. This is the third year that we've been able to put on this amazing event at the Colorado State Capitol, and we have by far the largest attendance in the 3 years that we have. So excitement is growing and people are showing up to advocate for our rights. So the reason for Disability Rights Advocacy Day is for people with disabilities from all across the Colorado to show up and be present and advocate for our rights in the building where laws and policies are made that impact our lives every day. So it's really essential for us to show up and have a seat at the table during the legislative session and every day.
Senate Floor Tributes.
I'd like to recognize my constituent, Craig Towler, who's sitting back there, and all of the people here today from the Center for People with Disabilities in Boulder. They're here to advocate for the rights of people with disabilities. I hope you'll take a moment to say hello to them. Listen to their concerns and their ideas, and elevate their work to make our capital and our state more accessible.
Today, we celebrate Disability Rights Advocacy Day. Over 625,000 Coloradans live with disabilities. That number is growing. More than 1 in 4 Coloradans living below the federal poverty level are unable to work due to disability. The unemployment rate for people with disabilities is more than twice that of those without disabilities. Representation matters. Having Coloradans with disabilities in government and leadership ensures fairness and equity in our systems.
Meeting with representatives.
Hi, my name is Anastasia Steiner. I work with Representative McCormick's office, and we are here meeting with disability advocates and the disability community. And they've been talking to us about 2 or 3 different bills, and our office, we are highly supportive of it. We need more access to care. We've done a lot of work, but there's a lot more work to do, so stay tuned.
Here to speak to you about eligibility redetermination for Medicaid members is the Policy Director from the Colorado D.D. Council. Please give a warm welcome to Christina Harrison.
In case you didn't know, we have a very special bill, House Bill 251162, which has just been introduced into the Senate last week. It's being run by Representative Ferre, sponsored by Senator Doherty. This bill calls for a number of things, but really what it's doing, it's all about improving the redetermination process for Medicaid members who have fixed income, which is awesome. There are many, many Coloradans every year who lose Medicaid due to administrative barriers, issues with paperwork, not getting the right signature. We want to make it easier for people who have a fixed income, like SSI, SSDI, to overcome those administrative barriers and get the care that they need. So this bill is going to extend the re-enrollment timeline for people who have a fixed income who have Medicaid from 1 year, so you don't have to now annually prove that you're financially eligible for Medicaid, to every 3 years, which is huge. Again, this is House Bill 1162. It is in the Senate, so call your senators, write your senators.
I want to introduce you to a disability rights legislative champion that without him and his team helping us do this great work, we would not be here today. The current team that is making all of this possible comes from Representative Chad Clifford's office, so I'm going to hand the mic to him. Please give him a warm welcome and thank you.
It is always a pleasure to serve this community. Disability rights in Colorado are not new to each other. This has been going on here for a long time. In 1978, we had one of the largest disability rights movements that ever happened in this country. And it's up to you, and it's important that you continue to show up and show out about your rights.
Please give a warm welcome to Representative Ortiz.
Right now, when they're bringing up a lawsuit to make 504 unconstitutional, which is going to erode the foundation of our rights, what we do building matters, right?
Texas and 16 other states are suing to challenge Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which protects people with disabilities from discrimination. They oppose recent updates that include gender dysphoria and require services to be more inclusive, saying these changes are too costly and give the federal government too much power. If they win, important protections for people with disabilities in schools, healthcare, and public services could be weakened.
That's where we need champions like Rep. Clifford the most, right? Who are the advocates and lobbyists? If you have advocated or lobbied for a bill here for disability rights, I want you to raise your hand right now, if you can, if you're able. Look around. Get to know these people, folks. They're going to be your champions in this building as well.
Introduce to you the governor of the great state of Colorado, Jared Polis.
A special resolution for today that I'm going to read to you. Whereas Colorado wishes to celebrate, promote, and protect the human rights of people with disabilities and actively support full inclusion and participation. Whereas, according to the U.S. Census, over 625,000 Coloradans live with one or more disabilities. Whereas awareness must be raised that segregated institutions and policies and programs and services are not only costly to our society, but costly to those with disabilities who desire to live independent, productive lives. Whereas representation of Coloradans with disabilities in governments and boards and commissions and elected office is critical for fairness and equity in our systems. Whereas it's been 35 years since the landmark American with Disabilities Act was signed into law that created the national framework for the elimination of discrimination against individuals with disabilities. Whereas Colorado's deep roots in the disability rights movement and commitment to future progress, liberty, justice, and equity for all Coloradans is strong. Whereas in 2023, the Polis and Primavera administration supported the establishment of a task force on the rights of Coloradans with disabilities, who in January of 2025 presented recommendations. Whereas in 2024, the Polis Primavera administration supported the establishment of the Colorado Disability Opportunity Office to ensure that Coloradans have more opportunities. Therefore, I, Jared Polis, Governor of the State of Colorado, and I, Diane Primavera, Lieutenant Governor of the State of Colorado, do hereby proclaim March 6, 2025 as Disability Rights Advocacy Day.
My name is Andrew Romanoff. I run an organization called Disability Law Colorado. We're a civil rights agency. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." I don't have to tell you, this is a time of challenge and controversy. And I know there are plenty of folks in Washington and in other positions of power across the country who wish that you and I were not here today, that we would go silently, that we would accept the cuts that are coming and continue to suffer and struggle and perhaps even die. That's not what we're going to do. One of the bills that Representative Clifford mentioned and is sponsor of House Bill 1017 would enshrine in state law the protections that are now found in federal law, the Olmstead decision that allows people to live in the least restrictive environment appropriately. We need those protections in Colorado, no matter which way the federal winds might blow. And so I hope that you'll take the time to talk to your legislators today about the importance, not just of that bill, House Bill 1017, but the other 16 or 20 pieces of legislation that affect folks with disabilities in the state.
My name is Danny Combs, and it is such an honor to be here with you today. I am the director of the newly established Colorado Disability Opportunity Office. How many of you are out there and you have noticed the black license plates, the red license plates, the cool green original license plates? All of that done through the Disability Funding Committee makes our office possible, which is an incredible win. Rep. Ortiz and so many of you here in this community actually advocated for us to exist. This is the newest state office that actually gets to represent all of us in the disability community so that we have the same equality of opportunity as everybody else. With that license plate money that's been coming in through the disability funding community, we are able to provide millions of dollars of grants that go directly to our community so that nothing is done for us without us, which is pretty amazing.
My name is Ali Belknap. I'm the Executive Director of Colorado Common Cause. We are a nonpartisan nonprofit that's worked in Colorado since the 70s to make democracy more accessible, transparent, and equitable. So we're here today because we are working with a group of almost 45 different organizations to run Senate Bill 1, which is the Colorado Voting Rights Act. And how this came to be, I'll just give you a little bit of backstory, but I'll be very brief. We work to ensure that Coloradans have everything they need to vote without barriers and obstacles every major election. Unfortunately, what's happening now is our voting rights are under attack. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, which ensures that discrimination against voters is prohibited and that we have the ability to deal with that, is under threat. The Supreme Court is attacking it. We know the Trump administration is dismantling it as we speak, the ability to enforce the VRA. So we need these protections right now in Colorado. So in the bill are voter protections for all of our protected communities, including people with disabilities. It ensures that election practices and methods that have a discriminatory impact are against state law and that our state can confront these problems even if our federal protections go away.
So Medicaid is a life and death situation for so many folks in this community. It's a lifeline. Just in Congressional District 8 alone, which is where my House district sits, over 70,000 people are at risk of losing their health care coverage because of the cuts that are being proposed by politicians in Washington, D.C. Can I get a boo on that? And that's not just a statistic. That is a family that's sitting on their kitchen table right now deciding whether to pay for food, the roof over their head, or an important medical treatment. Poverty is a policy choice, and right now, some of the wealthiest people in the world are in Washington, D.C. right now, trying to take away your health care. But we have to fight back. We have to show up. That's why we're here. We have to make it abundantly clear to every member of our delegation here in Colorado and the delegation in Washington that we will not let this happen on our watch. Am I right? Thank you all so much for being here. Keep up the fight.
As you know, children with disabilities are vulnerable to attacks and predators at a much higher level than those without disabilities. And so I welcome your support for the Child Sex Abuse Accountability Amendment that will be moving forward later this year. We need to do what we can to make sure predators are not having access to the kids, and if they did in the past, that those adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse have the opportunity to get justice and healing.
Hi everybody, my name is Yara Zokai. I'm proud to represent Fort Collins and House District 52. It is time that we address a crucial gap in Colorado's anti-discrimination protections, one that has left individuals with disabilities without full access to justice. And that is why I am proud to introduce House Bill 25-1239 along with Representative Basenecker. This will be the largest expansion of Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act in nearly 70 years. Individuals facing discrimination in public spaces have had to fight an uphill battle, racing against an unreasonably short deadline to seek administrative relief. We are seeking to amend this deadline from just 60 days to 1 year because we have to give people the time that they need to seek justice.
Good morning, my name is Anthony Hartson, and you can tell I would be the Republican bipartisan of this park here. So it was a great pleasure to work with David a couple years ago when we ran the prosthetics bill for kids. I'm a big fan, 26 years in the military. Our veterans get prosthetics. We want them to stay athletic. We want them to stay engaged. We want them to stay healthy. And clearly we want the same thing for our kids, no matter who they are, what background they come from. So we ran a bill because the insurance did provide them for an athletic prosthetic. And what do kids do? They grow, and they grow, and they grow. And we're like, well, where's the prosthetic to go with that? Why are we not doing that? And so that we work together in a bipartisan fashion to mandate that, and as a Republican, you're like, well, I thought you guys didn't like mandates. I'm like, we don't. But when you're not providing somebody equal opportunity, as these kids are, to stay athletic and stay engaged, then that is something we absolutely need to do. And this bill was...
One of the most important people in all of this work, who has just worked tirelessly, not only with Rep. Ortiz, but with this entire community to make sure that we have what we need, that this agency is getting staff, and that we continue to get to do this great work, is the lady standing before me, and that is our great Lieutenant Governor, Diana Primavera.
So with over 20% of Coloradans having at least one disability, people with lived experience must have a seat at the table when legislation and programs that affect them are being created. I think we need to clap for that. So as you may or may not know, this is an especially tough budget year, and as difficult decisions are made, it's critical that policymakers see and hear directly from the people who will be impacted the most. And beyond Colorado, federal budget cuts and policy changes are also on the table in Washington, D.C., and your voices are also needed there. Just as you're being welcomed here today, I encourage you to take your stories to your congressional representatives because they need to understand just how essential federally funded programs are to your lives.
What do you think are the next necessary steps for Colorado that we can do?
So a lot of it's going to be making sure that we shore up our protections here on the state level that we've so far enjoyed on the federal level. Again, with the lawsuit that's threatening that's demanding that 504 be deemed unconstitutional. That's the foundation of everything, of all of our disability rights. So if we're going to protect those rights, we need to start passing state laws that protect those rights. So showing up and making sure that gets done, that's going to be the next important critical step. Yeah, love you guys, miss you guys. Thank you for showing up and doing the work. You're doing me proud. You're showing the work respect, and I can't wait to see the work that y'all do together in the future.